Thanks, Kevin. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and I'd like to add my congratulations. I guess if you're still here, you're really interested, so well done. I'm not quite sure what Rob, myself and Andrew did to get the graveyard session, but we're happy to be sharing it with you. So I'll get quickly into my presentation. I know we're all anxious for another party pie, I know I am, and maybe a beer. So the usual disclaimer. So we like to think that we're in the right place with the right metal at the right time. I'm really struggling to read that, so luckily I know it. So Hylea recently acquired the asset from a group called Providence. The asset was vended in. We paid $4 million cash and we issued 1 billion shares at 0.4 of a cent. So the vendors currently hold 36% of the company, and I'm pleased to say that they're assisting us to conduct the exploration out at Hylea. So obviously they're highly incentivised. Two of the guys are very experienced geologists, having worked for goldfields, and they had the foresight to peg Hylea, which is one of the last intrusives in the Fifield project, Fifield district, not to have a JORC resource. And the reason for that is that so little drilling has been done out there and no cobalt exploration has been done. The most recent exploration was done by Rimfire when they were looking for platinum, and we'll talk about that a little later. Essentially, the holes they drilled, some of them they assayed for cobalt, and the ones that they did, about 90% of them finished in high grade cobalt. And when I say high grade, I'm talking about 0.1 and above. So obviously when the project came along, the directors were excited to get it, and I came on board shortly after that, and my plan is to drill and to get to a JORC resource as soon as possible. And indeed we're in the middle of a 3,000 metre 50-hole program. We're expecting to finish drilling in a couple of weeks, and we're expecting first results in 2 to 3 weeks. One of the good things about being at the back of the Cobalt train, as I call it, is that you get the benefit of the work done by people like Cleantech, Australian Mines and Platina. And one of those benefits is that in a recent past, they have discovered that to use different assay methods results in a higher cobalt grade, so you're actually getting a higher cobalt grade. So we're getting the benefit of that, and our assay method is following that. What else can I tell you? We've just finished a project-wide aeromag survey and radiometric survey. If you come to the booth, and I think you can see in the overhead there, we're actually drilling at the same time as we're flying the survey, and we're expecting results from that very soon. I was talking to the geophysicist last night, and the images are in, and so we'd expect to make some sort of announcement with regard to the survey. So surveys don't usually excite the market, and I guess there's no substitute for drilling, but surveys are an extremely valuable and effective way of exploring quickly. And what this survey will do will help us map the laterite profiles out there. And the laterite profiles are what you're looking for. That's the mineralised profile. Tends to be either daylighting or just 5 to 10 metres below the surface. And so in the first 13 holes we drilled in our program, they all had laterite in them. And we're also encouraged by the fact that there were olivine rocks at the bottom of the holes. So far so good. We're obviously anxiously awaiting the results of the assays, and hopefully that'll be in 2 to 3 weeks. There we go. I've spoken a little bit about this. Our code's HCO. We have quite a few shares on issue. This is as a result of, I guess, the issue to the vendors. I repeat that they'll be escrowed until February next year. And obviously, as a result of the shares on issue, we have quite a high market cap. We've got about between 1.4 and 1.5 million. I've erred on the side of conservatism there by saying 1.4. We will be spending money on drilling and assaying, but we're well funded for the moment, and we obviously have enough money to continue to do more work out there. The board is, it's got a nice cross-section. Tim Kestel is an ex-broker. Keong Chan is a professional director and company secretary. And Mark Malazzo is an ex-Western Mining colleague of mine who is a mining engineer and has a lot of experience in mineral processing. I'm having trouble. So this is a magnetic image, and in that magnetic image you can see the main intrusives in the area. So we're talking about Cyaston, which is held by Cleantech, also Owendale, which is held by Platina, and I think Osmines are calling their project Flemington. So these are all basically the same type of beast, and the only reason that ours doesn't have a JORC resource is, as I've said, there's been no cobalt exploration. So we're out there doing that right now, and we're following up drilling done by Rimfire about 10 years ago. Here we go. So that's a closer view of our intrusive, which we call Hylea. There has been some drilling done on it, mainly for platinum. There has also been some copper work done on it in the past, and we'll probably follow that up. But at the moment, we are very much focused on the cobalt. So what we have here is an image which shows the high-grade hits, cobalt hits, as a result of the rimfire drilling. And as you can see, it's fairly flat land. At the moment, there's no rain, so we're able to access the paddocks, and we're out there drilling. We're dealing with 3 landholders who have all been very cooperative, and we're doing our best to build some sort of a relationship with those guys in the community. So this is an overlay of the high-grade hits that rimfire had. As I told you, most of the holes ended in high-grade mineralisation, and some of them are up to 0.3, which is obviously 3 times the current grade published by our competitors. This overlay shows you how we've essentially are following the lines of rimfire, but we've tried to extend out to see if we can extend the laterite profile, and I'm pleased to say that in most cases we have. And as I say, the first 13 holes in the program all intersected laterite. We are drilling a few other wildcat holes where we think there might be laterite, or for instance in a dam wall we've seen the laterite profile. So we're obviously eagerly awaiting to see how that goes as well. But so far so good in the area that we're in. This is an overlay showing a cross-section. It's the cross-section of the drilling done by Rimfire, and it's the one that is listed in the actual handout. And this is the cross-section. So as you can see, we're looking at these flat pancake type structures. I should say I'm not a geologist, so I refer to them as pancakes. Probably horrify some of the guys in the audience. So Rimfire, as you can see, drilled holes. Some of the holes didn't reach the mineralisation, some of them ended in mineralisation, and we're just following up that drilling. And so far we're seeing the right type of rock, and we're encouraged by what we've seen. More to come. This is just a quick look at the actual results that Rimfire got, and the highlighted numbers are what we call the high grade, and as you can see, it's pretty consistent. Just a small comparison. I'm always a bit wary of these things, but I think people in our organisation decided it was a good idea. As you can see, we compare pretty favourably. Obviously, we don't have a JORC resource, unlike the 3 companies we've listed here, but the plan is to move to a JORC resource as soon as possible. And I guess your presence here means that you get a chance to make up your mind as to whether or not you'd like to get in before the results come out. You know, hopefully we can convince you that you should. A little bit about Cobalt. I'm sure most of you who follow the story know about it. I won't bore you with this, but I think one thing everyone agrees on is that there is going to be a cobalt squeeze in about 2020. Whatever you think about the DRC, it seems that it's getting worse and not better there. About 50% of the world's production comes from the DRC. The Chinese will probably be happy to continue to take it, but cobalt has undoubtedly assumed the status of a conflict mineral. And so that means that the Europeans and the North Americans and others will be prohibited from taking it. So even if you factor in that the production will continue to come out of the DRC, there's going to be a supply squeeze. Now, will we have a cobalt mine out there by 2020, 2022? Probably not, but someone else will. And if we can prove up higher grade, then obviously we'll be in a good position. You probably are well aware of the fact that cobalt's run pretty hard and it's continuing to hold its ground. I think that at the moment there aren't many alternatives to cobalt, and until that happens, it'll continue to be a highly valued product. So just in conclusion, we've got an underexplored project in a highly prospective area. We think that the strategic position we've got means that we've got an ability to move forward very quickly. It's not difficult exploration. We're looking at drilling 50 to 60 metre holes for something that's only 5 to 10 metres below the surface. Because we've flown the survey, we've got a real advantage in terms of our ability to map the laterite profile. Not all of the profile is mineralised, but you need to have the laterite before you can have the mineralisation. I think we've obviously got the proven cobalt numbers, which we hope to back up very shortly, and we're currently well funded. I think I'll leave it there. Thank you for listening, and I commend you to the next two speakers. Rob Waugh and I have worked together in the past, and he's an excellent geologist and I think an even better managing director. Thank you very much.